You should have all this written in your journal by now. If not, go ahead and pause so you can make sure you have it all copied down. I know it's a little blurry, but you should have seen in the picture that this is kilo off to the left, K-I-L-O, then hecto, H-E-C-T-O, deca with a K. The U is special. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Deci, centi, and milli. So this U, I like to put a little special cloud around mine because it is special. This is the units. That's what U stands for. And there are 3 different units we talk about when we're talking about metric. So we talk about liters, and the abbreviation for that is just L. Meters, abbreviation for that is M. And grams, so abbreviation for that is G. Okay, so we could be talking about liters, meters, or grams. That's where it's going to go. A lot of people get meters, M, confused with milli anything. If it's milligrams, it's going to be mg. If it's millimeters, it's going to be mm. Milliliters, ml. If you see just a plain m by itself, like over here, like where it says 200 m, that means 200 meters, not millimeters or anything like that, because milli is just a prefix. Okay, so you should remember that King Henry doesn't usually drink chocolate milk. That's what helps us remember the order of our letters. And what these letters each stand for is a prefix, okay? So the units are liters, meters, and grams, but we could have any of these prefixes in front of a unit. So we could have deciliters or centigrams or kilometers or kilograms, anything like that. You could combine any of these prefixes with any of the 3 units, okay? And deca, it's going to have a special abbreviation. It's actually DA, okay? Everything else is just its letter, but deca is DA. That way we don't get it confused with deci, okay? Anything over here ends with an I, so if you want to draw a little eyeball, I used to do that all the time to help me remember. So a little eyeball is a scary eye. That way I can remember everything off to the right ends with the letter I. So deci, centi, milli, everything over there does not. Okay, so my rule is that I'm going to move the decimal in my number the same number of spaces that it takes to get to the correct prefix. So I know that makes no sense right now. Let me show you what I mean by that. So for example, if I had 200 meters, I want to know how many kilometers that is. So I'm starting with meters and I'm trying to get to kilometers. So I'm going to find meters on here. Meters is right here because it's a unit. All right. And then I'm going to find kilometers. Kilometers is over here. So I'm going to say I need to go 1, 2, 3 spaces to get to kilometers. And I moved it to the left. So that means I'm going to take my decimal in my 200 and move it 3 spaces to the left to get the number of kilometers. So remember, if I don't have a decimal in my number, that means it's actually at the end. So I'm going to start over here and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. That puts my decimal right in the front. So that's actually just 0.200. But remember, I don't need those zeros anymore. They can go away. So it's just 0.2. And I like to put the 0 in front. So it's actually 2/10 of a kilometer. Okay, so let's do some practice ones. Down here we see 17 centimeters, and I want to know how many millimeters that is. So I'm going to look, let's actually erase some of this. There we go. I'm going to look at how many spaces I need to get from centimeters to millimeters. So centimeters is right here, millimeters is right here. I only had to move 1 space to the right. So I'm going to take my decimal, and I'm going to go 1 space to the right. So since I had to move it 1 space to the right, I have to fill in a 0 in this empty spot. So it's actually 170 millimeters. Okay, 17 centimeters is the same as 170 millimeters. I'm gonna erase some of my stuff. We're gonna do one more together. So 13 and 25/100 kilometers, we want to know how many centimeters that is. So if I'm going from kilometers to centimeters, that's pretty far. So kilometers to centimeters, I'm going to look up here. Here's my kilometers. Here's my centimeters. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I had to move 5 places to the right. So I'm going to take my number and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whoa. So I have to fill in a 0 in all of these empty little baskets right here. Okay. So it becomes 1, 3, 2, 5. And then I had to add 3 zeros. So my commas can go right there. Okay. So I went from kilometers to centimeters and it was 1,325,000 centimeters. Whoa. All right, next we have milliliters to liters. I'm going from milliliters to liters. So erase some of my stuff up there. From milliliters to liters, so I'm going to go from milli all the way 1, 2, 3 to where my liters is. So I had to move 3 spaces to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to liters. So I have to fill in a 0 right here. So I have a decimal, and then I have 1, 2, and then that one that was already there, and then 2/6. Okay, so that's how many liters it would be. All right, now I have hectograms and decigrams. So I'm going to see how many spaces I have to move to get from hecto to deci. Now remember, if it had an A in between the A and the D and the G, it would be deca, but there's not one, so it's deci. So I'm going to go from hecto, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. So remember, my decimal's at the very end if I don't see it. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 spaces to the right. All right, so this is 906,000 decigrams. All right, 12 liters, we want to know how many decaliters that is. So I'm going from liters to decaliters. So liters, that's just 1 space to the left. Okay, so I'm going to take my decimal, and I'm going to move it 1 space to the left. So it's 1 2/10 decaliters. Last one is 9 milligrams, and I'm going from milligrams to centigrams. So milli to centi, I'm moving 1 space to the left again. So I'm going 1 space to the left, so it becomes 9/10 of a centigram. Okay, there you go.